The African People's Convention Party will be marching to the Eskom head offices in Sunninghill today over the prolonged load shedding that's gripping the country. The march is part of a campaign, we're told, that's set to go national in order to address the challenges that are plaguing the power utility. The APC is calling for the removal of Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan over a lack of accountability, amongst other issues. For more on this, let's bring in party leader Themba Godi, who joins us via our video link this morning. And Mr. Godi, it's great to have you on the program. Thanks as always for making time. Part of what you've been quoted as having it said is that Pravin Gordhan is enjoying protection by the ANC, and that's why he hasn't necessarily been forced enough to resign. If that's the case, why march to Megawatt Park as opposed to Luthuli House?
Well, the issue as it manifests itself to the public is the problem of load shedding, which is administered by Eskom. That is its manifestation. We want load shedding to end. That is our primary objective. The call for the removal of certain officials, including Pravin, it's merely related to the fact that there is load shedding. Pravin is a minister. That's how we know him. We're not interacting with him as a leader of the ANC or as a member of the NEC of the ANC, but as a cabinet minister given the responsibility over Eskom. And when Eskom fails, there has to be responsibility attached to individuals. Yes, the management of Eskom, the board of Eskom, but with such a problem of this magnitude that affects every person in our country, there has to be political accountability, and that rests first and foremost with the minister.
And there's just so many debates around how to end load shedding in this country. I mean, the students, for instance, who are marching, who had heckled the minister at WITS, at the School of Governance, they believe that privatization isn't the right answer to this. I think the minister himself and several others have said the best way to fix the issue is by allowing private players to run parts of the utility. Where does the APC stand on this, and why?
Well, our position is very simple and clear. The provision of energy can never be the role of private practice. It has to be a public utility that provides electricity for all. The call for privatization is to create a profit-making mechanism for private capital. And in our instance, or in our case, to use private companies for provision of renewable energies. And we see the problems at Eskom as merely being orchestrated by people who actually want to see privatization. So they mismanage it, they break it down, they create load shedding, frustrate everybody, until we are at a point where we say, look, anything is better than nothing. And that's how we're then locked into privatization. So it is a deliberate thing. If you have people who believe in privatization running Eskom, then they will run it down. The irony and the madness of it all is to have a board member of Eskom saying South Africans should not rely on Eskom. That tells you that you have people inside Eskom who use their positions essentially to destroy the entity, and who suffers? It is the public. Already, the electricity tariffs are very high, and they keep going up every year. And how many of our people will be able to afford electricity? Not everyone.
The principle, I think, holds for many people, especially once you apply whether or not it stands morally. But I'm afraid the reality is so different for South Africans, right? Relying on the state has proven not to work multiple times. And the claims you're making around there being a deliberate effort to sabotage the utility, I guess, will have to be ventilated by law enforcement. But even those people can't be trusted in some instances. And the question then becomes what the solutions look like in that context, where the principle of allowing the state to provide power to this country have failed so many, and there are private players who are ready and willing.
Well, the problem then becomes not purely an administrative issue. It becomes a political issue. It becomes a matter of policy choice. The point I'm making is that if you have privateers running Eskom on behalf of the state, which trajectory do we think they will take it to? They will only take it towards privatization. So our main challenge at the political level is the ANC, to the extent that the ANC is failing to manage the country. I think you will agree with me that we are in a situation of things fall apart. The country is faced with a multiplicity of crises. You have seen recently the tavern shootings, the issues around the president and his farm, the issues around fuel hikes, we're talking here of load shedding. There are so many areas of public life that the ANC is failing to manage effectively. So the failure of the ANC should not nullify the principle. Let's look at the principle. So if our problem is that we have a
what a pity. On that, it looks like we've lost Themba Godi. To be fair, the connection was always a bit shaky, but I think the thrust of the point he was making has been communicated loud and clear. It does need a multi-pronged approach, this crisis, and at a political level, hopefully we'll be able to get some kind of accountability. But they're marching to Megawatt Park. That's the Eskom headquarters in Sunninghill today. Part of what they're calling for is for Pravin Gordhan to step down over that crisis. Themba Godi, in your absence, thanks very much indeed for your time.